When did the popular kid's life fall apart in a few seconds? Lost control of his car when he and his best friend were driving to Taco Bell at night. He came out of it with a fractured collarbone. His friend died on the spot. He was really close with his friend's parents too and vice versa. He made a few posts on Facebook on how he was an idiot and how sorry he was. The dead friend's sister and parents made it very clear that they didn't blame him. It was winter, black ice, and he was 100% sober. Before he was, like, a stereotypical popular dude but in the wholesome way. Dropped out of school and became addicted to painkillers. Don't know what happened to him afterwards, but it was just sad for everyone. When he had an affair with his best friend's mom, dad died a few years before, and they got caught, so the mom got arrested for sex with a minor. The friend had to go live with other family with her younger siblings. His dad died. It was really shitty. Before that he was popular, but also smart, motivated, a great athlete and actually a great guy and person, as much as you can be till you're 15. Then his dad died right before he was going to have a football game. Heart attack in the shower before they were gonna leave for it. We heard about it later, and basically, from there, everything seemed to decline. He became angry as you could expect, and I think looking back I'd expect a decline in everything at first, but he just spiraled deeper and deeper. We didn't see him for a while. When I did catch up with him later in high school, he'd been so into drugs his brain literally seemed fried. It was sad for every reason. Her mom was diagnosed with dozens of brain tumors the beginning of our senior year, and died before Christmas. Girl went from stable, well off and beautiful to wreck, then off the map. After that, we lost 4 students violently, including 2 sisters stabbed by their stepdad. Staff quit. Pretty much no one in our senior class made it in life. Suicides followed graduation. 1999 was a really tough year for our school. One kid on school was popular only because he liked to starch and bully everyone. So most people were friends with him just to avoid being a victim. One day he tried that on the wrong kid. Got beat up so bad to the point he started crying. Honestly, I think it was a win for the bully because it gave him a pretty good wake-up call. Became less of a bully and is now quite humble. Got hit by a car. Went from bully to paraplegic. She was a bully. Nothing good to say about her, but that is a rough end. Had this cliff that was really dangerous, and to keep kids away the genius locals spread around the rumor that it was haunted. Naturally the cool kids wanted to go there like all the time. Once the gang of those supposedly cool kids, 4 in total, went there and no one really knows what happened. One kid jumped to his death. The stories of the rest didn't pan out correctly. Each one had a different version. They were high. No one was jailed, but all 3 were depressed and eventually spiraled out of control. One OD'd 2 years later. One was in a car accident, drunk, and one committed suicide. Well, a super popular cheerleader girl at my school ended up falling downstairs and broke her back and got paralyzed and has to use a wheelchair ever since. So yes, that is one example answer. Stairs are not a joke. When he hit and killed a state trooper on the freeway while the trooper was out of his car trying to remove debris from the road. I actually ran into one of the super popular kids at the local bar when I came home from college. She would never give me the time of day in high school and I for sure thought she didn't even know I existed. But she approached me at the bar, super drunk, and said, "Hey, didn't I go to high school with you?" She then proceeded to tell me she wished she had been nicer to more people in high school and that she has no idea what she's doing with her life. Honestly feels good to know that she's thought about how she treated people back then. Not sure if that's the norm or just a weird occasion. I never saw him again after high school, but a guy who bullied me told a mutual friend of ours to pass along apologies for the way he treated me. He died sometime later, I believe from cancer. I wish I could have bought him lunch or a drink. It takes a big person to make that kind of apology. The stud quarterback about 2 years ahead of me has been narcaned at least half a dozen times. He might be dead now. Not sure if that was a problem for him in high school, but I heard he had a nasty pain pill habit in college and probably transitioned to heroin from there. His parents divorced and he started acting out. He went from good grades and clubs to failing in drugs. He FaceTimed his girlfriend and she screen recorded him putting a baseball bat in his A. Like, in his A. That's called an inside the park home run. I heard this one from my brother. Resident popular kid and a-hole with fully paid scholarships proceeds to get drunk on Halloween, crash through the French doors of somebody's house, and passes out of their couch while covered in blood and puke while still dressed like Superman. Enter a horrified family finding him after they got home from their own Halloween party, an arrest, and no scholarships. In the 5th grade, our terrible teacher at the time told the entire class that the reason the popular kid acted out was because he didn't get enough attention at home. She did this in front of the entire class, and he left the room sobbing. My entire perspective of him changed that day, and we all already knew that the teacher was a terrible person, but that solidified it in all of our minds. There was totally a kid like this at my school. He would always disrupt the class, but I know his mom and stepdad would always go away without him. I think the teachers actually quite liked him though, even if he was a pain in the A. I can't imagine them ever doing something like this. I imagine he would have got angry rather than sobbed though. I know he ended up being homeless for a while, but I think he's okay now. Bit of a goth now though, I've been told. She was in a terrible car wreck and came out of it covered in thick scars, a wobble when she walked, and mentally challenged. She tried to fight me after our shoulders bumped in the hallway. It was an accident, but it was nice to see after a near-death collision she was still a massive C. He wrecked his car into a wall and died on prom night. My sister had a kid as her graduating class that did something similar. He wasn't a great student and was at risk of not graduating, but he didn't want to disappoint his sister, so he busted his A and passed his classes. When they told him he'd done it and would graduate later that week, he left the school, street raced, ran a car into a pole and died while his friends tried to save him. It was the saddest graduation I've ever been to. Not a lot of hopeful messages for the future at that point. When I made him cry, he had been bullying me at school every day for nearly 3 years, for 2 things I had no control over: my poverty and my physical appearance. I badly needed braces my family could not afford at that point, and I had had enough. I had discovered that he was adopted, so I told him, in front of our classmates, that his real parents probably wanted no part of him because they could tell he'd grow up to be nothing but a piece of sh. I got in trouble for that, but it was worth it to see him cry for once, and he left me alone after that. In the 8th grade there was a really popular kid in my school that was the head of the football team. He was also a huge bully, would beat nerds up for no reason at least twice a week. One day he either got drunk or high and jumped off a bridge as a prank. I'm not sure how he didn't know that the lake he jumped into was riddled with underwater trees, as you can see the branches during the daytime. Either way, I don't think his body was found. Our school held a huge memorial for him, but I will always remember him as a bully. Guy on the football team sent a girl's nudes of the entire football team, and a good portion of people in my grade got arrested during class. I haven't seen him since. He gambled on a fart and lost. Went from a jerk-a hotshot to a jerk-a hotsh. 3 popular kids went swimming in a quarry. Only 2 came out. It sucks because the one that died was popular for all the right reasons. He was a genuinely good dude. I was the weird kid, but his locker was right next to mine and he was friendly every single day to every single person. Since everyone is talking about people dying, I was the popular kid whose life fell apart in seconds and didn't die. I was a good student, athlete etc, but I sold weed. One day, I came into class and got arrested in front of my AP history class and escorted out of the school between classes so everyone was in the hall. I got expelled, kicked out of parents' house, and kept getting in trouble. As far as everyone I grew up was concerned, I ended up in jail. My life spiraled, but then I joined the Marines, which definitely helped me, but then I got badly injured and had to fight the VA over 10 years for my benefits. It was a rough 15 years. One day I decided to try coding and realized it was the most fulfilling thing I've ever done. I now write software for banks and live by the beach in SoCal. Everyone still thinks I'm in jail lol. I don't know that his life really fell apart, because it turns out his home life was terrible all along. But it definitely shifted how people looked at him, and I went to a small school, so there weren't too many divisions between people. When you only have 40 something kids in a grade, popular is kind of relative. But a kid's mom decided to leave her husband, the kid's stepdad, who was known to faculty and was considered a good guy, stopped by the school to deliver something to his stepson, Cool. The secretary gave him a pass to drop it off at the stepson's class, rather than call him down to the office. The stepdad actually had a gun and had no idea where the stepson was during that period, so was roaming the halls. Luckily, a friend of the stepson, who knew what an abusive, dangerous guy the stepdad was, happened to be in the office and alerted everyone. We all went on lockdown. The police came. We were stuck for a couple of hours as they swept the school after arresting the guy. Then, it came out that the kid had been abused for the entire time his mom had been married to the guy, and she only was leaving him after he started hitting her. It was a whole thing. And while everyone had pretty much always liked the kid, he suddenly just had everyone feeling sorry for him. Teachers let him go back and redo assignments to boost his grade. People gave him stuff to start over. He just kind of got really closed off and stopped joking around and only hung out with like 3 people after that. He was known as the abused kid with a stepdad who was going to shoot up his school, and that's hard to get over. This guy tried to drop all his friends to become a popular kid. BC he had a massive ego, but he ended up just losing all his friends and getting nothing in return. A guy I grew up with did that. I saw him at a funeral a few years after college and he was all like, "Hey, how come the crew never hangs out anymore?" I informed him that we did still hang out. I'm not sure I would call him the popular kid, but in some circles he was. He was a bit of an arrogant in my opinion, but had money and liked to spread it around. His dad was a wealth manager. Lots of friends, family, community members were clients. A few years after high school it came out that dad had embezzled millions. Their entire wealth was stolen from friends and family. This rocked him hard. Dad went to jail and he changed his name and totally became a different person. I saw him after that and barely recognized him. His personality and even his posture was different. I felt really bad for him. I ended up having a really good talk with him and I can only imagine what he has gone through. A kid in HS who was a big jock got busted for a DUI. Instead of taking the hit for the DUI, the kid agreed to go around town and help bust the places who were selling booze to minors. Blip. In one weekend none of us could use our fake IDs or get beer. It got out who helped get the places busted. The guy was literally treated like a leper until graduation. He was an only child, and his dad had died when he was 2, was really happy-go-lucky, and he was popular because he was outgoing, supportive, warm and kind to everybody without fail. And although he was friends with the kind of kids who bullied people, he was the first person to tell them to knock that off if he saw it. When we were 16, his mum, who was one of the nicest ladies I ever met in our small town, was crushed to death by a semi-trailer that drifted into her lane. He dropped out of school, he stopped talking to anybody, and he refused to let anyone visit him. I have no idea what became of him. Sorry Jay, I hope your life got better. Someone broke into his house. He, 18M, and his dad hid in the bathroom while his mom, 8-year sister, and 5-year-old brother fought off the intruder. News went around and the whole school knew. His mom filed for divorce, and it was found out his dad told the officers it was he, the dad, who fought off the intruder. It never got into the news or daily newspaper, but the entire town knew the father and son